Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Donald Kane. I'm 48 years old. For the past 2 decades, I've run a successful financial consulting firm in Savannah, Georgia. I help people plan their futures, retirements, estates, college funds, all of it. But somehow, I missed the warning signs in my own life. I should have seen it coming. All the pieces were there. The long gym sessions. The new wardrobe. The sudden girls' nights that didn't quite add up. Her name's Marlene. My wife of 23 years. And she shattered everything with 6 words. Tyler's coming to the graduation with us. Tyler. Her personal trainer. The one she swore was just a friend. The one she laughed with a little too easily and mentioned a little too often. We were standing in the kitchen. Same place where we raised our daughter, planned our lives, built everything we had. I was pouring coffee. Marlene was leaning against the counter like she didn't just light a stick of dynamite and toss it at my feet. "You're serious?" I asked. "You want him there, at Dana's college graduation?" "He's become close with our family," she said. "He's been there for me." For me. That was the dagger, right there. Not for us. Not for Dana, our daughter. Just her. Like I'd somehow stopped existing in this marriage. Or maybe I'd been removed quietly when I wasn't looking. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just walked to my truck, sat in the driveway, and pulled up our financial records on my phone. Everything looked clean. No weird charges. No sudden withdrawals. But Marlene's smart. I knew that. If she was planning something, she'd cover her tracks well. That night, when I came home, she was already in bed. She looked peaceful. Like she'd already made peace with the chaos she was about to cause. Dana's graduation from the University of Georgia was in 3 weeks. She had worked herself raw to earn that business degree. Dean's List, part-time job, scholarships, the kid was incredible. She deserved the world. And she deserved a graduation day that was about her, not about her parents falling apart. But deep down, I knew Marlene had other plans. The next morning, I started doing something I hadn't done in years. I started watching her. Marlene used to tell me everything. Now she barely told me anything. Where she was going. Who she was with. Why she came home at midnight reeking of perfume and sweat. Had dinner with Janet, she said one night. Funny. Because Janet had posted a selfie on Instagram from Orlando that same day. Disney World with her grandkids. You ever wonder, I asked casually, what's gonna happen after Dana's graduation? She looked at me, a little surprised. What do you mean? Us, I said. You and me. Everything seems distant. She didn't deny it. Didn't even blink. Just said, I've changed, Donald. And I don't think you've noticed. The next day, I started pulling old paperwork. Insurance policies. Account statements. And most importantly, the post-nup. 8 years ago, after I expanded my company and started earning serious money, Marlene suggested a post-nuptial agreement. Just to protect both of us in case something ever happens, she said. I'd agreed. We both signed. I barely remembered what it said. Now I read every word. Carefully. There it was, infidelity voids all claims to marital business assets, joint investments, and spousal support. She wouldn't get a dime if I could prove she was cheating. That night, I sat in the living room alone, Dana's graduation invitation in my hand. Marlene was at the gym again. I wasn't just going to let this happen. Not like this. Not without a plan. It's funny how silence can feel louder than shouting. Marlene and I barely spoke for days. Just, pass the salt, or, did you feed the dog? The empty rituals of a life already cracked beyond repair. But it was the nights that got me. When the house went still. When I stared at the ceiling, hearing the creaks of the floor above me as she moved quietly from one room to another. I knew what she was doing. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. Until the night I did. She came home late. Again. Her makeup still fresh. Lipstick perfect. The kind of look you don't wear to work out. I was sitting on the back porch, nursing a bourbon. She didn't see me at first. Just walked through the living room, humming something light, a little too cheerful. When I stepped inside, she froze like she'd seen a ghost. We locked eyes. You were with him, I said. No anger. No volume. Just truth. She blinked. Don't start, Donald. I'm not starting. I'm finishing. Just be honest. Was it Tyler? She looked away. I don't want to do this right now. That's not a no. She didn't answer. Just turned and went upstairs. I sat down on the couch, shoulders heavy, like they carried 23 years of lies I didn't know we were telling. That's when it hit me, this wasn't just betrayal. This was erasure. I'd become invisible in my own life. Replaced. Ghosted in real time by the woman I gave everything to. And the worst part? Dana. Our daughter, our pride, our light. She was texting me about graduation dinner reservations while her mom was sneaking around with a guy young enough to be her student. I couldn't let her find out like this. I couldn't let her day be tainted. So I smiled through the next week. Let Marlene think she had me fooled. Let her plan her surprise. Let her float around the house like nothing was happening. But I was drowning. I started waking up with chest pain. Not heart attack level, but enough to remind me I was human. Enough to make me realize this stress was going to kill me if I didn't do something. I confided in my sister, Evelyn. She was the only one I trusted. She's been planning this for a while, Dawn, she said. You don't just fall into an affair this clean. You're being replaced in stages. I looked at her. What does that mean? She's rehearsing your erasure. Watch, soon, your traditions become hers and Tyler's. Your friends, your home, your daughter, she's setting up a new version of your life. With him. I felt sick. Because deep down, I already knew she was right. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and saw a post-it on the fridge. Tyler and I are checking out venues for Dana's graduation dinner. Back later. M. Tyler and I. Like it was normal. Like it made sense for her to be planning my daughter's celebration with the guy she was sneaking into hotel rooms twice a week. I sat at the table, staring at that note for a long time. Then I crumpled it, stood up, and went to the garage. I pulled down an old box of photo albums. The real kind, printed photos, not digital. The kind we'd made back when we believed in forever. Vacations. Holidays. Dana's first steps. Christmas mornings in matching pajamas. Marlene holding me from behind as I blew out birthday candles. I went through every page, looking at a woman who used to light up around me. A woman who used to laugh at my dumb jokes. Who used to cry during rom-coms and fall asleep on my chest during movies. That woman was gone. And in her place stood a stranger who wore her face. The lowest point came 5 days before the graduation. Marlene was on the phone again. I could hear her upstairs, whispering, giggling. And then she said it. I'm gonna do it that day. Just like we talked about. Right after the ceremony. Do it that day. I knew what it was. She was going to dump me. In front of our family. In front of Dana. On her day. I couldn't breathe. I sat on the bottom stair, shaking, trying to hold myself together. That wasn't just betrayal. That was cruelty. She wanted a performance. A public scene where she would be the brave woman reclaiming her life, while I played the confused, outdated husband. She wanted to humiliate me. And she didn't even care what it would do to our daughter. That's when the despair turned into something else. Resolve. It started with a hotel receipt. A Tuesday morning. I was in my office, trying to review a retirement plan for a client when my phone buzzed. No name. Just a number I didn't recognize. Attached was a photo. Tyler and Marlene. In a booth at a restaurant I knew well, part of the downtown Marriott. They weren't across from each other. No, they were pressed close together. His arm around her shoulders. Her fingers tracing circles on his knee. Smiling like they had no worries in the world. Beneath it, the message. You deserve to know. If you want more, call this number. I stared at the image for a long time. Not because I was shocked, it just confirmed what I already knew. But the boldness of it. The arrogance. I called. A man answered. Deep voice. Calm. Kevin Walsh. Security manager, Marriott Downtown. I said nothing for a moment. Then, why me? My brother got burned by someone like her, Kevin said. I've seen this play out. You're not the first. Probably won't be the last. But if someone had told my brother earlier, maybe he wouldn't have lost everything. I asked how long it had been going on. 4 months, Kevin replied. Same room. Same time slots. Sometimes twice a week. I've got records, surveillance stills, timestamps, everything. I hung up and stared out my office window. 4 months. That would mean it started, right after our 23rd anniversary. She'd kissed me that night. Wore red lipstick. Whispered she still believed in us. Then, the very next day, she started sleeping with him. That evening, I made a choice. No more pity. No more waiting. No more giving her chances to come clean. This wasn't a woman having a crisis. This was a woman building an exit plan, with stolen blueprints. I pulled out the old postnuptial agreement. The language was airtight. If I could prove infidelity, she'd walk away with nothing. No claim to the business. No spousal support. No half of the investments. I just needed to act before she did. So I called James Morrison, my attorney for nearly 15 years. James, remember that postnup you drafted for me and Marlene? I need to review it. Immediately. We met that same afternoon. I showed him the picture. The texts. Kevin Walsh's contact info. James flipped through the agreement, nodding slowly. She's out, he said. If this goes to court, she forfeits everything listed under marital assets. I leaned forward. How do I make sure she doesn't get a dime, not even a chance to fight for it? His eyes narrowed. We don't wait for her to file. You act first. Quietly. Move the assets into a protected structure. Trusts. Transfers. Legal, legitimate, and airtight. Once it's done, she can scream all she wants. But she'll be locked out. A fire lit inside me. For the first time in months, I felt in control. That night, after Marlene went to bed, I went into the guest room, my unofficial sleeping quarters since we needed space, and opened my laptop. I started researching irrevocable trusts. Educational funds. Property transfers. And then I saw something that made my breath catch. Assets placed into an irrevocable trust prior to filing divorce are no longer considered marital property, provided there is clear intent of financial planning, not concealment. I had a purpose, Dana. My daughter. The only innocent one in all this. If Marlene wanted to start a new life with her boy toy, fine. But she wasn't taking a single piece of what we'd built. Not when Dana deserved every advantage. I drafted a proposal, an irrevocable educational trust, with Dana as sole beneficiary. I'd fund it with 60% of our joint investment portfolio. My half of the house. 2 of our 3 rental properties. My business reserves. By morning, I had an appointment with my accountant. 3 days later, I met Kevin Walsh in person. He handed me a folder thick with documentation, hotel bookings, time-stamped video stills, parking garage scans, even front desk records showing Marlene requesting the same suite. I've also got 3 staff members willing to write sworn statements if needed, he said. They've seen her with Tyler too many times to count. I thanked him. He nodded, like he'd done this before. Maybe he had. This wasn't just evidence. It was a map, a detailed ledger of betrayal. She hadn't slipped. She'd relocated into a different life. But what crushed me more than any photo or receipt was what I found next. I was looking for printer paper in the filing cabinet when I noticed a small manila envelope tucked into the back of a drawer. Inside, rental brochures. Apartments and condos in Charleston. All of them circled in red. A handwritten checklist in Marlene's looping script. Transfer gym membership. Open P.O. box. Change legal name. File papers after graduation. I sat there on the office floor, holding the note with numb fingers. This wasn't just adultery. This was a scheduled deletion. She planned to humiliate me at graduation, then leave me. After all our years. After the child we raised. After building a life. And she would have done it with a smile. But now, I knew her exact playbook. Which meant I had time to write one of my own. When I was in my 20s, fresh out of college, I worked for a mentor who always said, "Don't get mad. Get prepared." Until now, I never fully understood what he meant. But as I stared at Marlene's checklist, her planned getaway from our marriage, I realized something with absolute clarity. This wasn't about saving our relationship. It was about salvaging my dignity. And protecting my daughter's future from her mother's destruction. The next morning, I called my accountant, Robert Thorne. Trusted him for years. I want to move a large portion of my assets into a trust, I told him. Specifically for Dana. How large, he asked. 60% of the investments. Half the house. 2 rentals. Some business reserves. He was quiet for a beat. That's significant. Is this part of estate planning? It's to protect what matters most before it can be taken. He didn't press. He didn't have to. He knew the tone of a man who'd been pushed too far. We met that afternoon. Robert drafted the documents quickly. An irrevocable educational trust, Dana would be the sole beneficiary. I'd be the trustee until she turned 30. But once it was filed, I couldn't touch it. Neither could Marlene. Not legally. Not ever. Perfect. The trust would cover her graduate school, housing, insurance, future business ventures, everything. All airtight. All legitimate. No trace of malice. Just planning. Then I called James, my lawyer. I want to push the paperwork through now. Full review of the post-nup, plus declarations of infidelity. I'll provide evidence and timeline. We file the moment she drops the hammer. He leaned back in his chair. You're not just building a case, you're building a trap. I looked him dead in the eye. No. I'm building an escape hatch. She can walk away clean. But she walks away empty. We drafted an action plan. Transfer asset control legally. Establish the trust before any public confrontation. Gather photographic, video, and written evidence from credible sources. Prepare a witness list, Kevin Walsh, the hotel manager, Helen Torres, my private investigator, and 2 staffers who'd seen them together repeatedly. All timed to go off the moment she made her move. Marlene had no clue. None. At night, she'd come home glowing. Humming. Texting Tyler from the bathroom like a high schooler. At dinner, she'd drop hints. I think Dana will love the surprise I'm planning with Tyler. Or, I just want everyone to see how happy I finally am. I smiled. Nodded. Played along. I even told her she looked beautiful one night just to watch her blush like a guilty teenager. Behind the mask, I was building a firewall of legal protection so tall, not even a judge could scale it. 5 days before the graduation, I brought in Helen Torres, my final piece. Private investigator. Former FBI. Expensive. Ruthless. I need everything you can dig up, timeline of the affair, public appearances, maybe even financial entanglements. I want a full dossier. She nodded once. You'll have it in 72 hours. I gave her Kevin Walsh's files. Security photos. Receipts. Hotel logs. The foundation was already strong, she just needed to build the walls. While she worked, I made an appointment at the bank. I opened a separate business account under my consulting firm and transferred the liquid reserves. All of it under company protection, well outside marital assets. I even updated my will. Dana got it all. Marlene. Not even a line. That night, as we sat across from each other at the dinner table, she said. You seem lighter lately. I looked up. Do I? Yeah, she smiled. It's nice. Like you finally accepted where things are headed. I nodded slowly. I have. And you're right, it is a relief. She mistook my peace for surrender. But in reality, I was preparing to bury her plan in front of her entire family, with the precision of a surgeon and the calm of a man who had already won. I visited Dana at her part-time job 2 days before the ceremony. I didn't tell her anything. Just asked how she was feeling. Nervous, she said. But excited. I feel like this is my real beginning, you know. I smiled. It is. You've earned this. Will Mom and you be okay? Like, at the ceremony? I didn't flinch. It's your day. Nothing's going to spoil that. Not for a second. But inside, I knew the truth. Marlene was planning to hijack the moment. I was going to turn it into the last mistake she ever made. Graduation day arrived with a strange calm in my chest. Like the eye of a storm. I wore my best navy suit. The one I saved for big client meetings or funerals. Funny how this felt like both. Marlene came downstairs in a flowing cream dress. Hair curled. Pearls. Looking every bit the glowing matriarch. You look nice, I said. And I meant it.